whilst Grogu might only be a child, he is still succumbed to the same crossroad that all Force-sensitive beings are, to become a Jedi or a Sith. And the concern is that Grogu has already turned his back on becoming a Jedi before. But could Grogu actually turn to the dark side? Well, let's dive right in and find out. Above all, Grogu is emotionally attached to Din Djarin. This alone does not dictate Grogu's fate. No, though it has shown us that he is capable of tapping into his dark side and using the Force fueled with anger and dismay. But where does it come from? We know Grogu has experienced significant loss before, specifically during Order 66, where not only did many of his peers and mentors meet their certain death, but where Grogu himself witnessed it firsthand. Not only would Grogu feel isolated and alone after this incident, but due to this traumatic event, Grogu, consciously or otherwise, had let this experience manifest within him. It is so deeply embedded within Grogu that, by the time we meet him in Season 1 of The Mandalorian, Grogu has buried this memory to ease the pain. And it wouldn't surprise us that, during the 28-year period between Order 66 and meeting Din Djarin, Grogu reframed from forming attachments to anyone, fearing the worst and assuming they too might suffer the same fate as his previous peers and mentors. When Grogu finally finds someone who he can rely on, someone capable of protecting not only Grogu himself, but themselves, it's completely understandable why Grogu would develop such a strong emotional attachment to Din. Haunted by his past, of course Grogu would do everything in his power to protect Din from anything or anyone. So it should come as no surprise that Grogu is so quick to turn on someone like Cara, even if it was only a friendly arm wrestle. Grogu did what he had to do to ensure Din's safety. There really isn't any limit Grogu wouldn't go to protect the ones he cares about. The fear of losing someone again is what makes Grogu desperate to use any means necessary. This attachment, however, is what can and does push a Force user to the dark side, especially at a younger age. You see, it is no coincidence that many Jedi are separated from their parents in youth. Children are much more vulnerable to attachments and are known to be emotionally unstable. Add in the abilities of the Force, and you have an uncontrollable weapon at your disposal. And on top of this, both Luke and Ahsoka realize this immediately.
You cannot train him.
What? Why not? You've seen what he can do.
His attachment to you makes him vulnerable to his fears. His anger.
For Ahsoka to advise Din to just let Grogu's abilities fade proves that she believes the trajectory Grogu is currently on has only one ultimate outcome. An outcome that we have already seen unfold right before our very eyes, in the form of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. Anakin's strong emotional attachments and fear of losing his loved ones ultimately led him down a dark path, and it's not difficult to see just how Grogu's attachment to Din could lead him down a very similar fate. Even after almost 2 years apart, Grogu's attachment to Din still prevails. Maybe Ahsoka was right. It might be for the best to let Grogu's abilities fade, because the path to the dark side might be littered with fear, anger, and hate, but it is paved directly by emotional attachments. More to this point, do you think it's a coincidence that Grogu left Luke's Jedi Academy? Sure, let's put aside Grogu's emotional attachment to Din for a second. Why would Grogu want to follow the Jedi Way of Life? I've touched on this before in my other Grogu theory video, but the fact of the matter is, Grogu has seen the Jedi suffering before, their loss, their ultimate fate. There is nothing enticing about the Jedi Way of Life to Grogu. He would be much better off following a path that leads to the survival of not only himself, but also the people he truly cares about. If Grogu were to choose between becoming a Jedi or a Sith, Grogu would be far better off turning to the dark side and channeling his anger and his fear to get what he desires, even if in its purest form it is to protect those he cares about. And although this might affect the relationship Grogu has with some of his Jedi mentors, it wouldn't affect the relationship he has with Din or the Mandalorians in the slightest. You see, although Jedi are the sworn enemy of the Sith, Mandalorians are actually pretty neutral with both parties. In fact, oftentimes they tend to side with Sith, as they both have a mutual respect of one another's determination to achieve their goals irrespective of the means to the end. This is made abundantly clear when Grogu uses the Force choke on Kara. Instead of this being a typical Star Wars trope about whether using Dark Force is ever acceptable, Din simply wants Grogu to understand that Kara is his friend, almost suggesting that using this type of ability is perfectly acceptable in certain scenarios, given it isn't against their own. I fully expect Grogu to eventually turn to the dark side, although this doesn't mean he will become evil. Yes, there are non-evil Siths, but of course, as Grogu is only a child, only time will tell the path that Grogu will take. If you enjoyed this theory on how the Mandalorian is setting up Grogu turning to the dark side, be sure to leave a like on this video, it would mean a lot. Otherwise, if you are looking for more Mandalorian theories, be sure to check out my channel for more. See you next time.
I said open the doors.
Are you crazy?